Well, on that note, something I'm super curious about is your upcoming summer here. I know last summer we were together a lot, and you were just kind of bummed you weren't able to do your typical thing as a historian and going out and learning and researching.
Yeah.
And explain what your summer schedule looks like.
So it's a mess. Like most things in my life, just kind of all messes. A bunch of little messes here and there. But it's a good mess. So for this summer, you nailed it on the head. Last summer, I think everyone was just kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs, waiting to figure out like what tomorrow's going to bring. Because it was just, I feel like every day there was a new horrible thing we had to overcome, and we're like, oh God. But now things are starting to open up. Places are starting to open up again. So I leave on Sunday for a research trip. I'm going to be in Charleston and then Athens, Georgia. Come back up for like 4 days, and then I'm going to be up in Wisconsin for some research, and then I'm back here for like a week and a half, and then I'm going to be at U of I, and then I'm back up here again, and I'm going to try and rock out as much of the research in Chicago as I can this fall, because coming into the winter and spring, I'm going to have to get to Boston, New York, DC, Berkeley, Minnesota, Texas. It's all over the place.
Wait. Say that again?
Yeah, so I have to get to New York, Boston, DC, Berkeley and San Francisco, same, just across the bay. I have to be in Austin, and then I have to be in Twin Cities. So I'm trying to get that stuff done within the next...
This is all the summer.
So this is all for the next year. Just this summer is Charleston, Georgia, Wisconsin, Urbana-Champaign, and Chicago. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. So, but those are the other ones on your radar that you need to check out.
Yeah.
So when you take these trips, what is that experience like? Like, what's your process? How do you travel?
It's crazy. And you have to be a certain type of person to be a historian, because it's very, very isolating at all times. So you are going to these places and you're spending your entire day sitting in a quiet room with the sources, reading documents, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of documents, trying to scan what you need, figure out what you don't need, and then you go home and you have to try and organize it and rationalize how you're going to use it, and you're alone the entire time, and then you just go somewhere else and do it again. So the work weeks are 60, 70-hour work weeks, 80-hour work weeks of you just writing and reading by yourself in a quiet room, which is very isolating. And then you come back and you have to write about what the research was for committees and grants and money and everything like that. So it's a lot of being able to put yourself into the mindset of total grind mode. This is wake up to go to bed. I'm going to be working and reading and writing the entire time, because you only have a certain amount of time to do this stuff.
Yeah.
When I'm in Charleston, I have 4 collections I need to work through down there, and I'm gonna have access to the library for 6 days. So that's just, I have basically a day and a quarter for each collection, which is not a lot of time at all. Very little time to be reading through hundreds and hundreds of papers. So yeah, it's a lot.
How fast can you read?
Very fast.
Really?
Yeah, so I read, you learn throughout school, when you get to this level and you're just having to read so many books every single day, you pick up really quickly if something's important or not, and your brain just starts to cut out words that don't matter. So
But pedagogical, that was a word that was important to you.
Pedagogical.
Pedagogical.
Yeah, so I can read a book, a history, a couple 100-page history book in an afternoon, no problem, a couple hours, rock it out. These collections, I'm skimming through pages, so it's really, really quickly reading. Does this matter? Is this important? Do I need this? No. Flip it over. Yes. Scan it. Go on to the next one. So I'll finish a collection. I can finish. It's hard to say exact sizes without it. A few boxes of a collection, which is normally 10 folders full of papers.
Wait, how are these organized?
So they were. it's called like linear feet, which is basically the size of a collection box. Comes in like a 1 foot box, right?
Is this like a evidence box?
Yeah,
You see
yeah,
on, like,
yeah.
Cop shows. And
Yeah,
stuff?
these are the ones that like flip up and like yeah, same exact thing. And then inside those is like a bunch of folders, and it'll say. Normally, it's organized by like personal correspondence, select number of years, personal writings, like published work, anything that would correlate with the person's life. They try and organize it as best they can. So you have some idea of like what you're looking at before you even start looking at it.
Okay.
And then it's just in these folders, there's just all the papers and the documents and the photos and everything. And you're just quickly going through that and trying to figure out what you need, which is exciting and I love it. That's like the detective part of being a historian. It's stressful in the sense of you're doing all of this research to write something, so you have an idea of what the end product should look like, but you haven't like written it yet. So you have to get to that point. And I always run into the problem of like, oh, did I skip something that was probably important or that I would want later, but I didn't think about it in the time. So it's just trying to be as thorough as possible, but also realizing that you have a time constraint and you have to get this stuff done because you can't go back to these places.
There are quite some boundaries.
Yeah.
So how do you scan it then?
I like to use like just an app on my phone. It's like a phone scanner thing. Just 'cause it's easy.
So there's an app that can scan these things?
Yeah. It's very similar to like taking a photo of it. You just like hold it over it and it just puts it on your phone like as a document. I like to do it that way because then I can name the file on like a picture where I can't really name a picture. So I can specifically say like box 1, folder 4, this collection. This is what this like scan is. And then that helps when I do my like footnotes later and I'm writing. But a lot of people like to just physically scan with a scanner at the archive. They'll let you do that. Or some archives will just have you leave a note of what you want scanned and then they'll do it so they can make sure that they preserve it and that you're not like messing up any of the documents. So
something I'm curious about is these scanners. So you said you have the app. Mm-hmm. Their scanners, I'm imagining like this big Xerox machine and they scan it like that.
Yeah.
I've seen some that are like wands. Like, is that a...
I've never used any of those. I do know what you're talking about. I've never used any of them. Yeah. The normal ones are just the Xerox ones. You just put it in, hit a button, does it.
Why aren't more of these things already scanned in a digital way?
So that's a good question, and I don't know if I have all the answers to it. I've asked this question a lot, and I think it's...
Like, why do you need to travel to all these places when couldn't someone just go through... I mean, this would be a terrible job. I would not want to do this. But just scan everything and then just have...
Yeah, I mean...
a catalog or...
And that kind of ties back in with what I was saying before about, like, the accessibility of knowledge, right? That's great. I think that that's where we should be heading and what we should want to do. One, it takes up a ton of space on like computers and hard drives to have. If you saw some of these archives and these collections, I mean, they could be, a lot of the stuff that I'm working on is disability history post World War II, specific people's papers or groups' papers. I'll top out at 10 boxes, 12 boxes of research material. Some of these collections, one of the things I have to do when I go to New York is dig through some of the Socialist Party papers. I mean, that's hundreds of boxes. So if you scan at each individual piece of paper, I mean, you could be talking about 100,000 pieces of paper that you're scanning, and then putting that onto like a computer and having like it be accessible. It takes up space and memory and hard drive. So I think that that's part of the complication of it. And then I think the other complication with it, and this is the more depressing side from my point of view, is that there's this ivory tower, like, elitist feeling in academia where people like to think that because they have to do it this way, it makes them more prestigious or more important. And
the way of, like, having to physically go there.
Yeah, and then if anyone could go do it, well, anyone can go to these places, but if you could just do it from your home, then it devalues the work you're doing or the research that you're doing. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's crazy. But I do think that there within academia, there is always going to be this like elitist ivory tower feeling. A lot of people that are my age and my peers were like pushing against that, but I think you definitely see it just with like a lot of the older generation trying to like gatekeep information, which is a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.